Alright folks, it's Jimmy here and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to review two very interesting lenses that tend to be overlooked in the Leica lineup. And they are no other than the Leica Summit 50mm f2.5 or 2.4 and the 35mm Summit. The first part of the video, as always, I show you a few sample photos I've taken with these two guys here. Let's have a look. Okay, so as you can see, these two lenses at a maximum aperture of f2.5 or f2.4 are best used on a digital Leica M body, especially modern ones, because they don't go that wide to allow you to shoot in low light if you're shooting film cameras. Now, under bright sunlight, these lenses performed really good. Actually, you won't be able to notice any difference between these or their Summicron counterparts. And talking about the Summicrons, in the next part of the video, we're going to compare the Summicron 50 and 35 to the Summaret and see if you can tell any performance differences. Let's get to it. Okay, so I can tell from the photos that the story is kind of similar between the 35 and the 50 when compared to their bigger brother. Well, at wide open, the Summaret is consistently sharper than the Summicron, and stop the Summicron down to 2.8 makes them a little bit sharper than the Summaret at f2.8. But I would say the difference is really negligible and you will only be able to see them when you actually zoom in 100% on a high megapixel body like the M10R I've used in this comparison. So as far as optical quality goes, I would say they're not that far apart, especially when you're looking at the price differences. You can usually get these two lenses at about $1,000, and the Summicrons tend to cost twice as much. So that's the problem here. So really what you're missing is the extra stop of light here. So like I said, if you shoot street and you don't need that, or if you're using a modern Leica body, then probably the Summaret is a very economical choice. Now, the biggest reason I would recommend these guys to people who even own the Summicron is the size difference, especially for the 50mm. As you can see here, the 50mm Summicron is so much taller than the Summarit. And this is true even for the previous version, which is the version 4 of the Summicron. That lens is a little bit smaller without the integrated hood, but still, you can't beat the size and handling of these Summarits. And for the 35, the difference is smaller but still noticeable, and there is certainly also a weight difference as well. When you put these lenses onto a Leica body, you really feel the balance, and it's just a great handling lens. Now, if we look at the build quality here, let's take, for example, the 50 Summicron. By the way, they are designed in a way that you really can't distinguish them unless you actually look at the focal length here, because the aperture ring, the focus ring, they're all exactly the same, which is quite interesting. And the build of these two lenses are nothing short of spectacular. And if you compare them to more expensive Summicrons, aside from being a little bit lighter so they don't feel as dense in your hand, they're every bit as well built. The aperture ring is very clicky and the focus ring is super smooth, at least on my copies. So there's nothing to worry about, and you're still getting that Leica build quality on these two lenses. Now there's another interesting topic here, which is these lenses actually come in two formats, the newer one being f2.4, and you can see a ASPH designation on the lens. Now, some people might thought, the old f2.5 lenses are not as spherical, so the newer lens must be better, and that is completely wrong. In fact, these two versions are exactly the same, aside from the new version comes with a metal lens hood, just like the new Summicrons, and that's it. The old f2.5 lens actually measured at f2.4 when it's wide open, and they both have exactly one aspherical element in them. So there's virtually no difference between these two lenses, and you don't have to worry about getting the 2.5 or 2.4 at all. Just get whichever you can find that is optically sound, and that's the end of the story. Okay, so to whom I will recommend these two lenses? If you just entered the world of Leica and you want to pair your Leica body with a Leica lens, then these are good starters. And also for those who tend to travel a lot, these two lenses, you can't beat the size and weight advantage of these two guys here. And they make a great combo as well. If you put them into your lens bag, you can shoot street, you can shoot portrait. There's just so much you can do with these two focal lenses. And also if you often shoot in, let's say, some of the less developed countries or sketchy places in the city, and you are worried about losing or damaging your expensive Leica glass, then these guys are not as expensive, so you're at least mentally at peace when you're shooting with them. So yeah, that's it for the review here, and it's a shame that Leica discontinued these two lenses, and I really hope they can revive the Summarit lines so people can get hold of a new Leica glass at a more reasonable price. And also, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, Leica these days seems to be pursuing, optical perfection. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but they also are building bigger, heavier lenses with more complicated, bigger and heavier lenses, which doesn't really balance that well on M bodies. And these smaller lenses are actually much better at giving you that, super agile and super stealthy rangefinder experience. What do you think? Please leave your comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.